Nostalgia Podcast. We want to know what nostalgia means to you.
I think it's everything from like my childhood in films, culture, and like, you know, comic books and characters, and even like pastimes with family. So I mean, it's not like it is now versus before, and I think everything we grew up to is like transforming now, and it's kind of like absorbed by the little ones as well. So I mean, it's like it's just nostalgic, you know, everything.
What era do you consider the most nostalgic for you personally?
Late 80s, early 90s. It's got to be that, you know. I mean, I grew up at the perfect time. Films, characters, even sports, you know, athletes, everything you remember, it's all referenced back then.
As an artist in this like new reboot age of all these amazing movies and shows, televisions, and stuff that's coming up, is there one piece of work that's made you really proud and happy to do over anything else?
Yeah, it's the Leonardo one right here. The Turtles, everyone loves that one, and I kind of get to like see people walk by and give me the nod of approval. It's kind of like really cool. Like, hey, I get what you're saying when I drew this, and the story behind it, we already know. So I mean, I'm really proud to be known as that artist that drew it, you know, and referenced and be inspired by that film. So I'm really proud of that one. It's my favorite one. So even though people ask me for the original, I'm like, no, I won't sell it. People will lost like $400 for the original. I'm like, I won't sell it. So I mean, it means everything to me.
Excellent. As a father, I guess my last question, I just thought of it right now. As a father, what's with your new baby? What's what's the thing that's probably most exciting for you to share with her? Like that you're really waiting to share with her?
With Penelope, it's gonna be movies, obviously, but it's gotta be like everything that I grew up with. Everything from like stuffed animals, like Teddy Ruxpin, and like stories from like Sesame Street, Reading a Rainbow. I'm gonna hunt down all those like episodes on YouTube and just have her watch it over and over again. And they have morals too, like you know, from like Family Ties to Full House, things like that. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys.
Hi, it's Bugs again with the New Nostalgia Podcast. I'm here with the legendary artist Matt Frank.
Go on. I appreciate it though.
So again, we're a 90s nostalgia podcast, and obviously you deal with a whole lot of nostalgia. We've had full-on blown conversations about Godzilla. I didn't really find out I was a really Godzilla freak until I met Matt myself.
You know, I have that effect on people. I recently turned a friend of mine into a Godzilla fan by showing her kaiju movies, and she's like #Team Mothra all the time, and we whenever we talk about Mothra, we just start going, "Yas, Queen!" So anyway, so yeah, I've noticed that.
So I guess, yeah, being in the reboot era, are you kind of hoping that they'll go ahead and reset everything, or you're just hoping they'll go with the lore that they have already built up? Do you feel that they'll prove us right or show us right?
It's hard to say because, you know, word is on the street, Johnny on the street, is that they're not going to do Shin Godzilla 2. Whether or not they're going to base the new universe off of this universe is hard to say. Given that it's Toho and given the way Japanese films tend to work, I wouldn't be surprised if they just said, screw it, we're going to do an entirely new set of films. Which I'm okay with. Honestly, it's more Godzilla, and I'm kind of okay with that. I think the anime has been really interesting. I think the legendary films are really fun, but there's no telling whether or not they're going to go past Godzilla vs. Kong, so we'll see.
But that's always the big wrap-up, is that's what they're trying to lead into. And that's something of, like, that was my lead way in. Like I said, I personally never realized I was a big Godzilla or King Kong fan until I was like, wait, that's my movie. Okay, that's it.
It's so funny because it's almost like realizing you like girls or you like boys, you know, and you're just like, oh, that's how I am now. just except with giant reptiles. No, it's fun though. I think that it's trickier when you're an adult because with when you're a kid, it's easier to suspend your disbelief when it comes to Japanese special effects and stuff. But as an adult, you're very fortunate when you can discover something like Godzilla kind of for the first time and it kind of clicks with you. So, you know, that's nice though. It's nice feeling.
Yeah, what makes you feel nostalgic?
What makes me feel nostalgic? That is a good question. Godzilla makes me feel nostalgic, or the Japanese equivalent of nostalgia, or similar to nostalgia, is called natsukashi, which is it's a little more complicated than that, but that's basically what it is. Yeah, Godzilla, Power Rangers, Jurassic Park, basically anything that a lot of what I draw makes me nostalgic. Legend of Zelda makes me nostalgic. Ultraman makes me nostalgic. So yeah, I mean, basically the stuff that I draw, I basically turned my own nostalgia into my own career. No one's noticed yet.
Hi, it's Bugs from the New Nostalgia Podcast. This is the legendary writer Tim Miller. Hello. We are a 90s-based podcast, of course, talking about our nostalgia and everything around the 90s and mainly that. But what is something that makes you feel nostalgic, or what does nostalgia mean to you?
You know, it's funny. I like a lot of stuff from the 90s. I was kind of in my young adulthood, late teens, around then. I don't get super nostalgic like some people do, but when I think of the 90s, I think I was in the Marine Corps. I joined the Marines right out of high school, right as the 90s was kicking off. So I tend to think of a lot of things in Southern California in the 90s. I was into a lot of metal music at the time, so Danzig was getting real big at the time. Typo Negative was real big at the time. I tend to think of those things. I tend to think of, I didn't have TV, but I remember a couple times watching Friends. I don't know, it's just weird. It's a weird memory I have of just catching the show. Like, what is this weird show? It's kind of goofy. Baywatch. We would sit in each other's rooms in the Marines, in the barracks, and watch Baywatch and stuff, just to watch Pamela Anderson run up and down the beach. It's a lot of stuff when I think of the 90s. That's kind of what comes to mind.
I guess writing, I mean, mainly it's your staple, it's your theme. Is there anything that you've written or anything, you know, over the years that you've written that makes you feel nostalgic, or mainly that pertains to it? I mean, your work is like all legit. If you look at it from all the titles, it's a wide variety, it's various. But is there anything that you like that would make you feel nostalgic? Like, that's great, that's something people should pick up.
A little bit. I guess this one, Bloodslayer, a little bit. It was my one rare young adult story, and that was why I guess it's written from the point of view of an autistic teenage girl. But I guess I felt a little nostalgic because I had to get back inside the heads of other teenagers and think of how other kids would react to her, and how other kids talk to each other and things like that. So that made me think back. I had to kind of go back to dial my brain back to high school a little bit and think of, you know, some insults that we used to use and what's a more updated insult that kids will understand and stuff. So which is kind of a weird thing to have to think about. But so yeah, that probably made me think more along that line.
Oh yeah. In the reboot era that we have of the 90s, is there anything pertaining to literal sense or movie-wise that you're kind of excited for?
That's in the process of being rebooted. I'm real curious. I know people are getting angry about it. I'm real curious to see if that Craft remake happens.
Really? Oh yeah.
I liked the original movie. I really liked it a lot. I haven't got a chance to meet the cast here. I've been tied to my table all weekend. But I always enjoyed that movie, and I know a lot of people are angry about it. But I'm not completely anti-reboot or remake or whatever you want to call it. I think sometimes it can be well done if they're not trying too hard. It seems like the two things that they tend to do wrong in reboots is two extremes of either directly copy the original too much, or take it in such a new direction that all you have is the same title with the same character names, but nothing is related to the original. I think the best example of a remake that I think was probably my favorite remake of all of them has been the Evil Dead remake, which I know a lot of people don't like it, but I feel that was really well done. And I remember Sam Raimi. Holy cow. Noise scared the crap out of me. Sam Raimi had mentioned that that's kind of what they wanted to do had they had the budget when they did the original, and I like the gore and just the brutality of it and stuff. So I feel like if they can do that with and there's been a few others that were not bad. So I'm curious to see what they do with the Craft if it ever happens.
Hi guys, my name is Bugs for the New Nostalgia Podcast. I'm here with the legendary artist Chad Hardin, who's worked on Harley Quinn and many others. Alright, Chad, so we're a 90s Nostalgia Podcast, and we mainly talk about things that are, you know, reminiscent to our heart, mainly of things that we like to see come back. So what's things that you hold real near, dear to your heart that you wish would come back or has made a big comeback?
What do I wish that would make me come back more has?
Yeah.
I wish there'd be a really good Mutant Turtles movie. We haven't had one of those yet.
I really feel
Michael
like
Bay, how does it feel to destroy Paramount Pictures?
oh wow, what was the other one? I mean, mainly pertaining to your work. I mean, you said as well, you know, you love drawing classic Harley. We sat in on your panel, you know, you enjoyed that, but other...
You know what's crazy? Okay, so, like right now, like all the comics that I collected in the 90s, all of a sudden, like, they really are, like, you know, Deadpool. Okay, so, like, what, 5 years ago, you could go to a comic store and find New Mutants 98 in the quarter bin. You know what I mean? And now it's what, we're $2,000 bucks? You know? Same with X-Force, you know, anything first appearance of Cable, first appearance of Domino, you know, all those issues now are skyrocketing. I love the New Mutants, but they're about to get a movie. Dark Phoenix is about to get a movie. So, you know, for the most part, they're really sort of mining, you know, all those 90s properties, and it's all sort of happening. And I don't know if that's because, like, you know, people who grew up with that stuff, like maybe they're the ones making the movies now. So there aren't too many that, you know, haven't really, you know, come out. But yeah, I'm super stoked for like New Mutants.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I hope they don't screw it up. 95% chance it's going to be a flop, but there's 5% hope as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. I want the Ewoks to come back. No, it's just...
This necessarily was gonna be a pork tattoo. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I was really up there, but then I forgot my childhood.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. I don't know. Buck Rogers. I don't know. I love it all. So bring it all back. Anything. Automan. Give her that. I can sing the theme song. You're like, please don't.
I don't know. We were talking about your daughters.
Yeah.
In the panelist, right? As a father, what's one thing that you're really excited to share with them when it comes to nostalgic stuff?
You know, it's so funny. Like, one of the things that we really enjoyed watching together was Stranger Things. And it was so weird because that was something new that, like, went and mined the 80s, you know, and, you know, but they're watching this like, this is the best thing ever, and I'm like, all this is doing is taking everything that I grew up with and paying an homage to it, you know, so that was sort of fun. That was sort of fun, but I mean, honestly, for the most part, they watch all my VHSs and all my...
I'm just kidding.
So
I want to get a picture of you smiling at me.
all the crap.
Oh my God, they just turned the lights on.
And sometimes they prefer, they really do, they prefer the old stuff to the new stuff.
Hey everybody,
I'm one of those horrible parents, like, wouldn't let them have cell phones until they were like adults.
We're running a little bit late. I
I think that's child abuse now.
Well, it would be lumped up somewhere.
Yeah. So social services, I'm on the run.
One eternity later.
Ready?
We're good to go.
Hi everybody from the New Nostalgia Podcast. This is me, Bugs, and I'm here with my friend Drew Gomez, who's a local artist from San Antonio who I firstly met at a tattoo expo. That was how long ago, Drew? The very first one.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Jesus.
10 years ago.
And that's how I was firstly newly introduced to your artwork. I was the first comic that you showed me was a pretty cool, awesome variant that you had, which had all the serial killers.
That's right. Issue 4 of Son of 6, number 4. Yeah, I remember that one.
Which he personally signed to me. Jesus Christ. Alright,
there you go. He couldn't take it. You love that? That's how good I am, man.
Couldn't do it. I'm sweating out of the box.
All right.
Okay.
You just like it too much.
Yeah. Alright, dude. So, I guess going to, as we do on the New Nostalgia Podcast, we like speaking about things that make you feel nostalgic. Again, you definitely can see it in your artwork, but what's one thing in particular that really you connect with and nostalgia? What brings you back?
I'm a big Batman fan. I love Batman. He's always been like Frank Miller, Dark Knight. That's what I read in a car one day waiting for
one of my jobs, just sitting there during lunch, and I read The Dark Knight. I think it was issue 3, and I just fell in love with it. It was like the perfect comic.
The follow-up, I guess, would be if there's something from your childhood that you would like to see a resurgence. There's tons of it coming back, you know, in film and any kind of industry. There's something back. What is one thing from your childhood you wish would make a comeback?
I would like to see a Debbie Does Dallas comic book. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Something that just runs around or a Deep Throat one. That'd be fun too.